Alrighty, I think we're live. Welcome everybody. Just so you know, I can't see anything other than the Hangout thing right here. I don't have another computer, so Javi's going to be watching the chat, so I can't see any of the chat. But if you got questions, put them in the chat, and we'll go from there. I'm assuming everybody can hear me okay. Javi, let me know if they put in the chat they can hear me. I feel like I'm flying blind here because I always have another computer with the chat going. I don't know. I might be able to get it on my phone here. Although I probably can't see it.
Well, then you'll be sharing the experience with me because I got to walk out of my chair because I've got it 20 feet away where I can just make it out now. But
all right.
But yeah, they can hear you. They hear you fine.
Okay, good. Well, welcome everybody. It's been a long time since I've done.
With me I got to walk out of my chair because I've got it 20 feet away. There you go. Or I can just break it out now, but
there we go.
Well, I'm coming through loud and clear at least.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I can see a little bit of the chat with this phone if I keep it close. All right. Well, again, welcome everybody. Tonight we're going to talk about different kind of lasers, the hobby CNC type lasers, the diode lasers. I've been having a ball. I moved mine to. Well, you can't even see it back here. I put it on this 4x4 back here, and I've been running strictly just laser out here. And I have been coming up with all kinds of different uses for the thing, and I'm having a ball using it. And, I post pictures of some of the stuff I do with the laser on Facebook or Instagram or something. And then I've got, a few people ask me questions about my laser, about my settings and all that. So I thought, well, since we got something to talk about now, I'll do another show, do it live from out here in the shop. And we'll discuss some of these lasers. Yeah, so much for that. I keep losing connection with that.
Yeah, we got a small question for later in the show from Rob. Stand by. Let me go over. Which would you upgrade to? Spindle, rear dust collection, or rotary axis? I didn't understand the question exactly, but.
Which would you upgrade to first? Laser, spindle, real dust collection, not shop vac,
or rotary axis?
Me personally, having been doing this a long time, I would say dust collection, even if it is a shop vac. Make yourself a homemade dust shoe or whatever. For years, when I had my old gray Sidewinder out here, I had a little old, what is that thing, 6-gallon shop vac. It finally bit the dust. I've had that thing like, I don't know how many years, 15 years, I guess. But I had it over here beside the machine, had the hose running up, and just had a hose drop down to that little wooden dust shoe that I made. Any kind of dust collection is better than none at all.
I fully agree. I fully agree. Dust collection, for me, in order, it was dust collection was first and primary. Later, I upgraded to the spindle, and I'm looking forward to a rotary axis in the near future.
Yeah. Rob also says, I already have a shop vac. How much better is a real dust collector? It's way better. It's way better. But like I'm saying, if all you got is a shop vac, to use right now, go with that. The other stuff are nice to have. The spindle's nice to have, but it's, not totally necessary. And whatever the other things were, laser and.
You might want to consider also, Rob. You might want to consider an enclosure. I have been extremely. I'm still on a 16-gallon shop vac with my enclosure, and yeah, eventually I've got a dust collector laying around somewhere, but it's just so loud. The beautiful thing about the enclosure is not only that it keeps the dust off and it a more efficient use of the shop vac, but it's the sound deadening qualities is just fantastic.
Yeah. Yes, Hobby's in his camper. That was a question.
Yes, I'm out in Central Florida at the moment, guys.
Okay. Like I said, if you got any questions, put them in the chat. I'll try to catch them, although I'm not doing very good with this stupid thing. Hobby will try to help me out. But we got a lot of stuff I want to talk about. First of all, I want to talk about just some of the different brands and types of diode lasers. I've had mine for quite a while. Let me move out of the way so you can see it a little bit. It's just this little dinky thing right here. That's all it is. And then it comes with this driver board, I guess you'd call it. This has got going to a power supply that runs this board. And then, of course, this white cable here has got the two wires, red and black. The black is going over to a ground, and the red is going over to pin 17. That's what I'm using for mine, which is an output. So they're really pretty easy to set up. These other wires here, this has got a little fan here, and you can't see this, I know, from this far away. Mine, I need to get the air hose and hit this with a blast, blow it off. It's really filthy, but I got a little fan here, and then there's also a fan here that comes on when you turn them on. Mine is a Jtech Photonics 2.8. I got mine after seeing Michael Mertzke's and I don't know, several people I think had them before I got one. But the 2.8 does some pretty nice engraving stuff. I'll show you some examples of that a little bit later. Jtech Photonics, while we're talking about them, I went to their website earlier today and jotted down. They have 4 lasers that I saw listed on there. They have a 1 watt, and Hobby, I don't know if you know this, you may help me understand the difference, because they have a 1 watt that the price is from $260 to $270, and it says it's 405 NM. And I don't know what that NM means. I mean, I guess something to do with the wavelength.
Yes, it's 405 nanometer. That's the actual wavelength. Okay. Or if you want to think of it this way, it's the color, but it's the wavelength of the laser.
Okay, so that's why you get the glasses. Like for mine, I have to get the ones that get rid of the blue light.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it depends exactly. It depends on the wavelength you want to filter out.
Because I was wondering what the deal was, because as I was writing these down, I wrote the first one down. It was 1 watt, 405 NM, and it's 260 to 270. And then the next one was a 2 watt for 240 to 250, so it's a little bit less. And then it's a 445 NM, and I'm thinking, well, why is the 2 watt less than the 1 watt? But I guess it's got something to do with that wavelength that one.
Yeah, it's what the wavelength is tuned to. I mean, the laser has, I mean, you can actually have either or of different wattages of at practically any wavelength. It's a matter of how the internal optics are, what they're tuned to. Okay, so like I said, 240 to 250 for the 2 watt. The one that I have here, the 2.8 watt, runs 335 to 345, and these are, like I said, prices as of today on their website. And then they have a 3.8 for 475, and that's the 4 I saw on the Jtech Photonic website. Very now popular. Keep in mind that these power levels, these are practically engrave only lasers. We're not talking they can slice through a 1/4 inch of plexiglass or anything like that. Right. Like a 40 watt. You know, yeah. These are tiny lasers for engraving purposes. Right. Then I just kind of Googled hobby CNC diode lasers, and I got a couple other companies that come up. I do want to mention that Jtech Photonics is right here in Texas. So they're from the U.S. The other two, one is from Poland,
If I'm not mistaken, I believe that's where the UC CNC software is from. But it's called a company called OPT Lasers. They have a 6-watt universal kit that they sell for like $549. So a little pricier than well, I don't know. It's 6-watt versus 3.8. So, but anyway, it'd be coming from Poland. And then the other one is endurance laser kits, which best I could tell, they're made in Russia. And they have, these prices may sound good, but when you look at the website, these are DIY kits. In other words, they send you the parts, and you have to know how to solder and do different things. It tells you on the website you need to be good at this, this, and this, before you want to buy this kit. But you can get a 2.1 watt for $145, 3.5 watt for $195, a 5.6 for $245, an 8 watt for $295, an 8.5 watt for $345, and finally a 10 watt for $395. So I don't know if I probably forgot to put those links to those websites in here, but I got them wrote down here, and I will put them.
With a 10 watt, there's a likelihood that you may be able to burn through, say, a 32nd of an inch of plexi.
Yeah, on that particular website, they're saying that you can cut 1/8-inch plywood in one pass with some of these and stuff like that. But like I said, although the prices seem really cheap, and I guess they are, it's a DIY kit. You have to build it yourself. Whereas these other ones, you just buy them and wire them, and you're done.
One thing that I know a few of my friends have picked up for cheap. I mean, I have a commercial 100-watt laser that I've had for years. Well, that burned down, but that it's in a different league. However, they're selling now these Chinese lasers, the K40 and similar 40-watt lasers. They're not diode lasers. They're actual, they're water-cooled lasers. They're CO2 lasers. And you can buy, at least in the States, sorry, Trevor, in the States, you could pick one up for about $400 to $450. It's got a small surface area, but it's a 40-watt laser. I mean, we're talking maybe, I think it's 9x12, something like that. And it's a full-fledged, if you want to do something large, then the Jtech and the diode lasers are the way to go, mounted on your CNC table, assuming you have a large table. But if you're doing little tiny things, anything, and at a reasonable price, $450 is a great bang for your buck.
I mean, it's kind of a trade-off, because with these type of lasers, you can put them on your CNC. Like, I mean, this is on almost a 4x4, so I got a big work area here. But it's slow as molasses. Especially the bigger you get, the slower it is. But the other things are fast, but you only got, like I said, an 8x12 or something like that.
Right. It's a tiny little area. I mean, the one I have in the shop is 20x24, so it's a decent size for doing just about everything. But it's also a $18,000 unit. It's not a it's not a $300 diode. Well, no, neither are these $400 units. These $400 units are CO2 lasers. Mm-hmm. It takes a little bit of work to focus them and to make sure that they're hopefully they haven't been damaged in transport. But it's not a kit. It's the whole thing comes in one piece. You just have to know a little bit of a little background in CNC in order to get yourself going. Because it's not a turnkey situation. It's like anything else. It's you have to program it.
Ryan asked how big of an area is a Glowforge. I don't know.
Glowforge, I believe I want to say 16 by 20 or 16 by 20.
I know when I was looking at the Jtech site for mine, I seen that they had a 4.2 and a 7 watt on the Jtech site.
Well, I must not have been on the right page then, because all I saw was those 4 that I listed. They may, and I knew they were going to get some bigger ones, but
I think if I remember right, I think the 7 watt was right around 625 US.
Okay. Let's see. Steve Misher says, is it me or is Dave's camera out of focus? It could be, Steve. It looks clear to me here. It looks clear to me on the phone. That's the camera I use on all past live streams, which is clear. But when I'm out here in the shop, it's just, well, for one, the lighting's not as great because I got a light right over me, which kind of messes it up. And plus, when I'm moving around, it's trying to autofocus. So I may look a little wonky, but don't worry, you don't matter what I look like. Okay, if anybody doesn't have any more questions, I don't see any. Mark Lindsay says, did I miss it? I don't know what he missed. Hi, Becca Miller. Big Bear, 4x43. David Mitchell, Wood Bucket. Hey, Gary. Got a good crowd out there.
Yeah, see, Mark has a Mark actually picked up one of the K40s. Well, his came damaged in transport, and he returned it. But I believe he might be getting another one. But
he'll be shooting laser beams pretty soon, I'm sure.
Yep. Now, one thing about those the small, powerful built-up units is you need some major dust. You need some major vacuum, or not vacuum.
Fume extraction. Fume
extraction. Thank you. Because I mean, at 40 watts, and especially if you're cutting plastic and things like that, that can get awful toxic in your shop. Whereas these little Jtechs are fantastic, and all you're doing is just burning wood. That's actually a very nice smell.
I mean, it stinks it up a little. I've got a box fan back there to kind of keep air moving. Plus, I got the little fan on the laser, and then I have the door open. So it's it's picking up a little bit, but not.
And now, one thing I'd like to warn everyone, or just to suggest whatever. Speaking as one who knows, who has burned down a laser and almost his shop, always never leave it unattended. I mean, you should never leave a CNC unattended either, but a laser, I mean, you're burning things. So it's like leaving a lit match in a room without looking at it. I would always keep your eye on that thing. I was gone for those of you that don't know, I had an engraving shop, and when I closed the shop, I took the laser home, and I was still using it for quite a while. And after a few years, I got very, very comfortable with it. I was cutting a 1/2-inch piece of plexiglass. I went to the bathroom. It flamed up. When I got back, the lid was melted, and the whole thing was it was billowing smoke throughout the whole shop. Quick fire extinguisher, and it was gone, but so was the laser. And it could have been the house.
Yeah, Mark just mentioned about first accessory to get is a fire extinguisher. You should have one of those in your shop.
Anyway,
I have one right there on the wall here in the shop, and I also have one in the garage where my other machines are. So I have fire extinguishers. All right, it's already 8:30, and we got to get going because I got a lot of stuff I want to try to cover. And I'm worried about that storm that may come through, shut me off here in a little bit. So let me, if nobody has any other questions, I wanted to go over it. Trevor, I know you'll be paying special attention. I'm going to go through the screenshots showing my setup, and then we'll go through the screenshots that I have here from the Jtech Photonics website, and you'll see that there's only like one thing different from mine than theirs. But I've got let me see if I remember how to screen share here.
If you see me turn my back to you, it's not that I'm being rude. It's just I'm going to go change that exact setting on my machine.
Yeah,
put it up there.
Understood. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to share. I've got these files ready to go. Okay, so I guess it doesn't matter which one I'll start with. Again, I apologize for this computer. It's not near as fast as the one I use in the house. All right, I don't know why that's decided to do that. Yeah, crud. Okay, well that's just the X, Y, and Z axis. So, but what I'm showing here is I'm using mine's controlled like a spindle, using the PWM or what is that, pulse wave modulation, I think is what that stands for.
Yes.
So I've got well, first I guess y'all can see the screen, right?
Yep.
Okay. So you see I've got my spindle enabled, and I'm using step pin 17. That could be any of the outputs. It doesn't have to be 17, but I'm using 17. And then the step port is 1. Okay. Easy enough.
Yep.
Let's see here. I'll go open. Okay, now this is the one for the output signals. You have this one checked, Trevor.
I do.
One, it's enabled, port 1, pin number 17.
Yep.
Really simple. Okay.
Dave, you might want to lock it on yourself.
No, is it
you're
jump-
screen sharing, but you're not locked.
Is it jumping around on me?
I just saw Trevor, so.
Okay, hold on here. Present to everyone. Okie doke.
There you go.
Okay. Now the next one is, and you notice I got these named by the way you go find them in Mach 3. You hit config, then ports and pins, and then the spindle setup tab. What this one is. And man, I don't know why that stupid little thing's right there. What's up with that? Oh well, it is what it is. Okay, so I have well, you need to know whether that's checked or not. Let me look at
that one isn't supposed to be checked, if I remember right.
Yeah, the disable spindle relay is unchecked, so there's nothing in it. Then you have output 1 here in both places, and this is M3 is clockwise rotation and M4 is counterclockwise. You probably could get by if you didn't put anything in the M4, it wouldn't matter, but they suggest putting it in both of them. And then I'm telling it to use the spindle motor output, so I've got that checked. I've got PWM control. I have my PWM base frequency at 1000. And also notice that down here, all those little whale things I've got set to 0 so that it doesn't pause. You know, if it's a spindle, it thinks it's got to pause a second for the spindle to spin up. Well, a laser doesn't have to do that. It comes on, it's on. So if you have that little delay, you'll get those dots burned into the spot where it first comes on. So that's why I have those set at 0. So you got all that, Trevor?
I got a couple questions for that one, maybe, Dave.
Okay.
Where you've got the forward and the reverse, the M3 and the M4, would that not make it so that you could turn your laser on using M3 or M4, considering that the laser isn't going to be going in reverse, right?
Yes. You could use either code, and it'll still turn that laser on.
Okay. And my next one is the PWM base frequency. I know on Jtech they're showing to put 250 in there. What's the difference between the 250 and the 1000?
I'm trying to remember why I put 1000 in there, and I think it has to do with, and Hobby, maybe you can answer this for me, since you're using strictly a parallel port and you're using at 25 hertz.
Oh, that's right.
And I'm using the USB that's the 100 kilohertz.
Yep, that would make sense.
I ended up putting 1000 in there, and I don't know whether it's right or not, but it works fine. So that's what I use. Okay, so we've done three 3 screens so far, and then the last one is just this little pulley thing, which you get to by going to config and then come down to spindle pulleys, and you select pulley number 1, minimum speed 0, maximum speed 100, the ratio 1. And basically what that means is 0 power is 0, and then the 100 is 100% power, and then anything in between is just the percentage of power for your laser. So you're basically using the spindle type stuff to turn it off and on, and the intensity. So simple enough, right? Now let me go to, this may take a sec to load, but this is, I went to the Jtech site and just clicked print and then saved it to a PDF, and you'll see here in just a sec. Oh, I keep getting all these silly things from Microsoft. All right, so this is the thing. It's several pages here, but this is showing the Mach 3 laser upgrade. It's showing you what all you get that comes with it. Here they're showing kind of here's kind of your setup here, Trevor.
Yep.
Because you're still using a parallel port. And I'm gonna come on down and see. Here's what we talked about before we went live, Trevor. It shows you how to use the spindle as the laser, but just turning it on and off. Nothing fancy. Just on and off. Get out of there. Okay.
But even going through the rest of the pages later on, when you look at the other pages, it's going to have the exact same settings as these ones to begin with. All you're doing is really adding to it.
Right. Okay, now here's where I started when I was setting mine up, because I wanted to use the spindle PWM to control the laser. So again, yours, you probably have it set like this one, 25.
Yep.
Yeah, 25,000 hertz. And see, mine, the only difference is mine is down here because of the
UCC or the UC 100.
Exactly. So that's the only difference there. Then all these other things that I'm showing look exactly like what I just showed you from my screenshots. Well, and again, they have the 250 in there versus the 1000 like I do.
Yep.
But everything else.
Here will be the next difference here. You've got 17 where that 1 is.
Yeah, and they have a 1 there, but I think, if I remember right, somewhere it says in here.
It says, remember the specifics to your setup may require different pinout.
Yeah. There it is, right there. So they're just using 1 as a. I don't really know why. I don't know why they didn't use 17 since they used that up above. And then again,
did they use pin 1 for anything at all?
No.
Oh.
So here's the pulley right here. Looks just like mine. And then here's the explanation where if you use an M3 S100, that's the laser on at full power. S3 at 90s at 90% power, and so forth. So
now I've tried every one of those exact codes. I'm getting nothing.
Yeah. Okay. So that's pretty much it for Mach 3. And I did have, I meant to mention this. I had got an email with some questions that I printed out here. One of the emails was from Jim Senecola. I don't know if Jim's out there in the chat or not.
He was there a second ago, yeah.
He asked, he says, if you have time, could you talk about mounting the Jtech laser on an existing Gatton CNC router where you wouldn't have to remove the router? Well, they make and I think Carlo Averis has it. He's got a little magnetic attachment. So if you put some kind of a metal plate on the side of your box or something, you could stick it like that. I've seen in one of the YouTube videos I was watching, the Jtech people, Jay Johnson, I think is his name. He's showing that the thing is so light you can actually just take a piece of double-sided tape and tape it on there. It doesn't take much to hold it on.
I made a little thin block of wood out of a 1/4-inch plywood, and I just kind of made the same shape as the laser, and I got mine mounted right to my tramming plates.
Yeah. Okay. That's, unless somebody else got something else they want me showing here, that's pretty much all I'm going to show. Like I said, my settings are pretty much the same as what Jtech has here. Again, they show, let's see, where was it? Maybe I already passed it. Somewhere around here. Okay, yeah. Solution to possible delay in Mach 3 using M3 and M5. And they show how to, in fact, you can even download a post-processor that will use this M11 P number and then M10 P number. John Mayer did Meyer, I think John Meyer, he did a video on how to do that. But if you, I mean, I don't know why you would have a dot unless you don't change that setting that I mentioned earlier.
Zeros.
Dwell, wherever it was, yeah, right here. If you don't change that and it leaves even the slightest dwell in there, you're going to have that little dot. But I haven't had any problems using M3 and M5 to turn mine on and off because I have all that stuff set to 0. And like I said, I'm running a UC 100, so it's on it when it comes on. So I don't really have an issue with the dots. All right, so I'm going to get off of this then. And I don't know what the heck that is. Okay, now, back here a sec. All right. Was there any questions? You see, Javi, were there any questions?
No, I didn't see any pop up. I mean, other than Jim Johnson is asking if the screen was blurry.
Yeah, it may be blurry. I don't understand it because I'm clear as a bell looking at myself right here on the laptop, and even when I look at it on here, I'm clear as a bell. But every time I've ever done a live from out here, and then I go back and watch the replay, I'm like, dang, it looks smoky or something out here. I don't know. The lighting's not real good. I didn't go to the trouble to bring any lighting out here. It's a shop. It's not a studio, it's a shop. So I also had a question from
now.
Okay, we're gonna get to this question, the last question, Charles, if you're out there in a minute.
We do have a question from Big Bear. He said, I don't know if you got this already. Should you use the 4-axis driver board? The MX 4660 driver has a breakout board built in. Should you use it or the BB25, a separate one for the laser? In other words, should you use? I mean, I have the MX 4660, so I'm familiar with that one. Should you use that breakout board? He's asking, or one separate. It really wouldn't make. Normally, it wouldn't make a difference, but the MX board is a very high quality board, so I would use that one for the laser if you have the extra pins.
Yeah.
I mean, there's really no difference.
Yeah, it shouldn't make any difference.
Dave? Yeah.
All right. I'm going to keep this thing moving here. I'm going to go back into screen share if we don't have any more questions about the Mach 3 stuff. And I'll show the settings that I use when I'm running UC CNC. I also have that controller software out here. And I will go through the settings. How many out there are using, out there in the chat are using UC CNC software? And how many of you have a laser, maybe, too? Probably should have asked that from the get-go, huh?
Yeah. Go ahead and throw your responses. It'll take half a minute for us to
go ahead and we'll go ahead and present again and then screen share. We'll go through these. It won't take but just a second to go through the settings for UC-CNC. You'll notice I got a bunch of pictures here, but that's for something else I want to talk about too. So, and I also named these because the screen's a little different. So this one is, you go to configuration, then axis setup, and then click on the spindle tab. And here you see I have the PWM spindle check. PWM pin is 17, port 1. And see here I got frequency 200. I think that's what was in there as default, and I never even changed it, but it works fine with that. Then down here I have spindle relay output enabled. Again, 17 for the pin, 1 for the port. And you see that I had changed these. These had a, point something or other dwell in there. You take that out so that you don't have any dwell at all. It kicks on and goes. Okay. And again, like I said, their screen is much different than the Mach 3 screen. So you click on a configuration tab, then the axis setup tab, and then hit the spindle tab. Each one of these is a layer as you click on this one drops down and so on. So that's how you get to that one. Okay, Jim Johnson says UC-CNC no laser. Okay.
Yeah, they're all putting down what they have.
Well, I didn't know if there'd be many people using UC-CNC, but I figured I got time. I'll go ahead and show it as
yeah,
well.
most of them are using UC-CNC from the looks of it, and they don't have lasers yet.
Okay, here is another page. The reason I'm showing this page, there's not really anything about the laser on here other than I made sure I had my soft limits. That when you install this by default, that'll be checked. So I turn the soft limits off. And then even though I used another, with the UC-CNC, you can import a Mach 3 profile and it's supposed to get all of the settings from there. Well, it gets most of them. I'll put it that way. One thing it did leave in here, it had a 25, which is supposed to be 25 millimeters. But when I would hit, before I cleared this out and put a 0, I would go to 0 and that Z would take off and bottom out, trying to go all the way up to the top because it was trying to move 25 inches. So even though it was supposed to be 25 millimeters and I have this set for inches. So, okay, you can see the 100 kilohertz there. That came in when I transferred that thing. This is really the only thing I had to change, but I thought I would mention that for people that are going to try to swap from Mach 3 to UC-CNC. Make sure you check that because it's going to take off when you try to go 25 inches. All right, let's go on to another one here. Configuration, input, output, I think is what this one is. Yeah, configuration, then you click on the IO setup. And let's see, what have I got on here? Oh, I guess I'm just showing that for this setup, this one that says laser pin, that I'm not using that because I'm using it with the spindle control. So I just wanted to show this one to show that I'm not putting anything in there. Because you see that, you might go, oh, well, that's a laser pin right there. I'll show something about that here again. I've got a separate profile where I do use that with something that I kind of stumbled onto when I was playing around with this software. I've had this UC-CNC software for quite a while. I bought it back, just to do a show and kind of review it. And, being an old Mach 3 user, I always, stuck with Mach 3. So when I started playing around and getting my laser set up with UC-CNC, I stumbled onto something that I thought was pretty cool and I wanted to share it. A lot of you folks may already know it. I hadn't, I just saw it and I hit a button and I thought, well, what does that do? And the next thing I know, I'm finding something really cool, and I'll show you here in just a second. Let me see if I can open this up in the right order. Okay, I think maybe this one. No, that wasn't the one I wanted. So let me try. Okay, here it is. It's this one, I think. Nope, it's not that one either. Maybe I didn't put that one in here. Oh, yeah, it's this one, I think. Nope, ain't that one either. Anyway, what I did is there is a button, and I thought I had a picture of it somewhere, but I must have not got that one. But there is a picture. I already opened that one. Yeah. All right. There's a on one of the screens. It's like config general settings, and there's a button like right down in here on that screen, and it says configure plugins. Well, I thought, let me just hit and see what kind of plugins. So I hit the plug, hit that, and this popped up. And what really caught my eye right away was laser engrave. And I thought, well, wait a minute, what's up with that? So I went back to the website for the UC-CNC and read up on that. And this is a plugin that comes with this, and it won't pop up unless you click on that button and then you check enable. And then let me see if I can get to one of these other pictures. That's not the one I was wanting. Bear with me, folks. I'll find it. Oh, you know what? I think this is the one I was looking for. Yeah, this is one I was going to show. Because you go to configuration, general settings, and right down here, this button that says configure plugins. When you click that, that's when you get this one. And then you can enable that. And then you can even tell it to call it up at startup when you bring it up. But once you have it enabled, you have to close it down and then restart it to get that to take effect. And then you can come over here and you can click on the show button right here. And what happens when you click the show button is this will pop up. And I thought, well, wow, how cool is this? Because you can do grayscale, you can do halftones, and you can do black and whites. And you load in an image, and I'll show you a image here. I got a picture of something right here. And when I say image, what I like about this is now you're talking about loading in raster files, not vector files. So you don't have to go bring it into VCar Pro or something and do the bitmap trace and get vectors. This you're pulling in JPEGs, bitmaps, PNGs, TIFF, GIF, all that kind of stuff. Now this is one here that I pulled in, and I ran that earlier. And what you can do, I'll give you a little bit of a rundown here. We won't spend a lot of time, trying to train y'all on this. Y'all can pick it up. But you can see I just set this for 3.5 inches, and it keeps the aspect ratio, so it's a little over 5 inches tall. I set the Y scan for 10 thousandths. What this does when it's doing this picture, and again, this one is set, the origin is for lower left, so it'll start here, it'll go back and forth. But every time it goes here, it goes up 10 thousandths and then back this way. So you can adjust that by how fine a detail you want. What's really cool is this processing time. I found that to be very accurate. Very, very accurate when you set that. You can set your feed rate for this. Now, there isn't a way to set the laser power. So what I would do is I would put just an MD in the MDI command. I would put an S70 or whatever power I wanted, and then then just use the feed rate, and I could adjust it, either making it slower or faster to get either a lighter or a darker burn. But so anyway, that is a pretty cool little feature, because this kind of relates to the question that Charles Steed has, although he was talking about Mach 3. But his question was, I would like to know how to laser pictures with my 4.2, I think it's 4.2 watt laser, and if I need to add something other than VCAR Pro, Mach 3, and Xylotech's controller. So the reason I bring this up is, if you have UC CNC and you don't know about this little plug-in, I think it's pretty cool. Again, because you're able to just pull in picture or raster files and laser them out. Now, you see this little guy here. I'm going to get off of here and stop screen sharing, and I will show you.
Michael Chipster joined us, by the way, Dave.
All righty. Welcome, Michael.
Can you guys see him? Or is my thing acting up again?
I can't see him.
I didn't think so. Yeah, it's no video.
Yeah,
Okay,
my camera's not showing up for some reason.
just confirming, because.
All right. Now, what I've been doing here, as I started playing around with this, I have a ton of cardboard, so I was just cutting cardboard. And this is one of the very first things I did after I kind of stumbled onto that laser engrave plug-in. And I'm going to hold this up to the camera. Very close. Can y'all see that good?
Eagle.
Yeah, that came out pretty nice. Now, I could have ran it a little slower and it would be darker. But I mean, I wish you could see it in person. I mean, it's like really crisp. I mean, and again, that's not from a vector file. That's because I've used this same eagle before with using my Mach 3 laser, but I had to bring it in VCAR Pro and do the bitmap trace and all that to be able to do it. But that's just freaking cool, I think, to be able to just bring a photo in and do it. So there's that. Okay, now this, I'm going to have to get up here where y'all can see this. This is that guy that I was just showing. And it's kind of hard to see. The lighting.
Yep.
Can you see it?
There you go. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Now this was done. I wrote it on here. This was done at 120 inches a minute with the 70% power. And it's nice. It came out good, but it's really kind of light, especially on this brown cardboard. So what I did is I left the power the same, everything the same, but slowed it down from 120 to 70 inches a minute. And of course, since it's going slower, it will, I don't know if I'm tilting it the right way or not.
That's fine. It's much darker.
Yeah, it's much better.
Yeah.
So, and then the other thing I'd show you, guys might get a kick out of this. You probably won't even be able to tell what this first one is. I don't know. I know what it is. I can see it because I know what it is. But can y'all see that?
Looks like a picture of Dave Gatton from his website.
Yeah.
Facebook picture, actually.
This one was ran at 70 inches a minute. Same power as the rest. And you can see it's came out too dark. So then I changed it to 120 inches a minute, same power. And I don't know if you can see it. That one came out a little light.
Looks just like a pencil sketch.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so that one came out a little light. So then I thought, well, let me slow it down a little bit. I need to go somewhere between 120 and 70. So I slowed it down to 100. And then I did this one.
Yep.
So that one come out a little better. And while we were running here, or right before the show, I had the machine running. And I ran another one with those same settings, only made it a little bigger. And then again, the lighting's probably not right to do that. But anyway,
Hey Dave, do you have a time on how long each one of these took, or just the power settings?
Yeah.
What type of dithering program are you using, Dave?
It's the laser engrave program that plug-in that came with UC CNC.
Yeah, that's pretty
See, that's what I
decent.
say. That's
I mean,
what I thought was neat, is that I just kind of stumbled across it, and then I'm like, well, it may not even be any good, but I actually am kind of impressed that, because I mean, I'm only been playing with it today. You do have to kind of adjust the settings. I ran, I don't know if I ran.
Yeah, because there's a few
that came out.
There's a few programs out there. Yeah, there's a few programs out there. One of them is called Photograv, Photo GRAV. I think it's only a $300 program, $350, but well worth it. It will actually take your photos. You have to start with a black and white high contrast image, but that's easy to do with Photoshop or anything. You just convert it to, you just raise the contrast, but it will actually dither it to your laser settings, and you'll get a much better look. I mean, I used it in the engraving to engrave glass and plexi and wood as well, and it's really neat. But that's done a fantastic job.
Well, let me answer Michael's question. Michael, this one that came out too dark, that I ran at 70 inches a minute, and it's like a 3.5 by 3.5 square, I think. I think it took 25 minutes to do that. The next one that I did, that I ran at 120, which, like I said, came out really a little light, too light. That one ran in like 15 minutes. Obviously it's running faster. Then the one that I did here, that's 100 inches a minute, same size, took about 20 minutes. Now this one that I did here, that's a good bit bigger than both of those, that took about 40 minutes. So, it's not super fast, but nothing with these little lasers is going to be. And again, that's on cardboard. So, wood is going to be a good bit different. But like I said, I just wanted to share that. Some of y'all, heck, all y'all may know about it. I may be the last one to find out. But I thought it was pretty cool. Something that's free, enclosed in that UC CNC software. It's just, if you don't ever go click to see what plugins are in there, you would never find it. And then because it's not going to be enabled when you, by default, you have to turn it on. And I thought it was kind of cool.
And for those of you wondering, what if you don't know what dithering is, or what we're talking about when with these programs, when you take a photo and convert it to grayscale, each pixel is a value from 0 to, depending on the resolution, depending on the let's say it's from 0 to 256, where 256 is completely black and 0 is completely light, or vice versa. Regardless, a laser has only two settings. I know you can change the intensity, but in the end effect on wood or on cardboard is either it's burned or it's not burned. So it's either on or off. So what you're trying to do with dithering is you're basically reorganizing the pixels.
Yeah, if you could look close at that picture, and Becca, I got your thing. I'm going to lock it on me and show these again. If you look close around my head there, you can see where it's burned and it's not burned and it's burned and it's not, there's gaps, but they just mix it in to make it look like,
right,
because in the real picture that's blue, and that was done with a gray. So let me lock it on me. So Becca wanted to see the picture. Let me lock it on me and
absolutely, yeah.
Go through all these again.
And even even if you take a regular photo, anything that's not white will be black if you don't dither it.
Yeah, that's the Eagle.
Yep.
This let's see here. The one I made, that's the one I said I did at 70 inches a minute, and it came out way too dark. And I did it at 120, and it's a little light. And then I did it at 100, and that one didn't come out. Wait a minute, I'm too close now. And then, of course, this is the bigger one I did. Took about 40 minutes for that one.
Yeah, and optimally,
and these other little ones. This is the first one I did of the little cartoon man, whatever he is.
Yep.
And it came out way light because I was running 120 inches a minute. Then I slowed it down to 70. And that one came out much, much better.
Yep. And like for instance, with your picture, Dave, what you want to achieve is all the outline around your head. You want it to be clearly black. You want black lines to differentiate the different areas in your, the hair. The fact that you have white hair, you want little tiny black lines.
Thanks for bringing that
up. Silver hair. It's fantastic hair.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking as one who lacks the follicle growth, believe me, I'm jealous. But like for instance, around your beard and around the cheeks, it's very difficult if you don't have a program to convert the photo. It's very difficult to either get a good appearance of the features of your face, because it'll all turn out all black or all completely whited out.
Yeah. What's another thing I might, if people try to start using this, something you got to think about. The picture, well, all this, even this one. I showed you this picture a while ago on the screenshot, and it's basically a white background and then the sky. So when you start out, as that thing starts here and starts going, the laser will take off and start going back and forth, but you'll go, well, nuts, my laser's not working. Well, it's because it's white. There's nothing there. As it moves up and gets to his shoes, then all of a sudden you see the laser start popping on.
Yep.
But as it goes across there, it's on, and it's only coming on when it's got to hit a black spot. Everything else, it's off for. Now the other ones, if it's a color picture and you're using grayscale or something like that, then it's going to be on pretty much all the time. But it's turning on and off so quick you probably can't even tell it.
Yeah, and a couple of tips and tricks for those of you, whether you have a laser or not. If you want to do, for instance, like Dave showed his face, if you want to just show the face, but your picture has a dark background in the back, obviously use a Photoshop program or something another to encircle the face and white out everything that you don't want shown. Likewise, if you're burning on plexiglass and whether you're engraving on granite, on black granite, where the engraving comes out white, or on any color plexiglass, again, where the engraving turns white, you want to reverse the image. You want to reverse the entire image. Now, keep in mind, if you reverse the pixels, black is white and white is black, that also means you have to create a different background, other little outline around the face, because if not, then you will have the whole background be engraved white. So whether you want a black on white or a white on black image, make sure that the background itself outside of what you want engraved is the right color.
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit there, Hobby.
Sorry.
I was going to say the same rules apply for if you guys are doing like Photo VCarve. It's very, very similar if you're using the Photo VCarve program and not a laser.
I don't know if you caught all of that, but
Same rules apply.
I do want to mention too, like I said, I just stumbled onto this laser engrave thing that's a plug-in in UC CNC. And then it got me to thinking, I'm like, well, you know, I haven't been to the Mach 3 website, and I couldn't tell you when. So let me go up there and look around. Maybe somebody's come up with something for that. And there is some kind of I forget what they call it. I downloaded it, but I haven't had a chance to play around with it. So again, back to Charles's question about what else does he need. I'm going to keep doing some more research on these plugins and see how well they work and stuff, because you may be able to do a picture without having to buy anything extra. I think somebody just mentioned somewhere, isn't Inkscape free? Isn't that a
Yes, Inkscape is free.
So you can use that to help clean up your photos and stuff, I guess.
I think they even have a laser engrave type of plug-in for the Inkscape too, do they not, Michael?
Yeah, I believe so. But I think that's mainly for like CO2 lasers, not G-code based lasers.
Oh, okay.
I use an application from when I bought my Jtech. It's called Pick Engrave, and I think it's like $40 or $50, and it'll do the dithering for you, but it'll only output really for the Jtech. So.
Yeah, I have the pick laser, and it works, but God, awful slow, man.
There's a lot of settings in there you got to tinker with too. So
yeah, so, but anyway, like I said, this is just kind of something I stumbled across. I thought it was kind of neat that it was in there, and I didn't even know it. And maybe I thought I'd share it. Maybe some other people didn't know that it was in there. And if you're using UC CNC, it's something to play around with. And like I said, what I like about it is I'm pulling in pictures or raster files instead of having to go through to make vectors out of it, like I do with the other stuff. Because a lot of times when you take those photos, just like that eagle, when I try to do that eagle using vectors, running it through my Mach 3 to run my laser, it took forever because I had to go back. I go, wait a minute, this ain't gonna work. And I had to go back into VCarve Pro and clean up a whole bunch of stuff because that bitmap trace, it's not. I'm not saying it's not good, but if you don't get a really good quality photo or picture, whatever you want to call it, you get junk, and you got a lot of cleaning up to do. Sometimes it works pretty good, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah,
Dave,
quite a bit on that.
Andrew Adsit has a statement, more of a question, but he says his trouble with Mach 3 is that the spindle RPM isn't the right voltage for the laser.
What do you have all that delay turned off, all the dwell turned off in those settings I just showed?
Yeah, that's.
I mean, you need to check that because you may have, if you got something in there, it's doing what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to give it a minute to spin up.
I know with my laser, when I tried to use the spindle up and down, the plus and minus, if I go over 100%, it'll tell me that it's too much for the laser or too much for the spindle, and I can only go down.
Yeah. All right.
Now the spindles, isn't spindle 0 to 10 volt? Or is it
I don't really know.
well, that is 0 to 5.
I know it's starting to rain outside.
Huh?
I'm gonna get wet. Go walking back to the house now.
So if Andrew's talking about the Jtech laser,
we'll keep you company after the show.
if Andrew's talking about the Jtech laser, there's a new post processor for it that it uses the M10 and M11 commands instead of the M3 and M5 commands, and it's instant on and instant off rather than the delay function.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned that before you got in here, Michael, but I'm still using the M3, M5, and I don't know whether it's because I'm using that UC100 versus a parallel port or not, but as long as I have those numbers set to 0 in that dwell, I don't have the dots.
Yeah,
you know,
I was getting the dots, and I have a UC400, but I just switched over to the other post processor, and it works fine.
Yeah, I guess it has to do with computer processing power or something too. I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, like I said, John Meyer, I think is his name. He did a video on how to set up that. I actually downloaded that stuff, but I haven't been using it because, like I said, I'm not having any issues with the 3 and the 5 turning it on and off. Another thing too is I think sometimes you might, I don't know how, I'm not trying to say people are doing it wrong, but if you think you've got to run everything at really high power, you're going to probably have some dots. Because a lot of times you don't need that much power.
Nope.
So you can turn it down and still get a good dark thing without the dots. So
it's just like anything, your speeds and feeds have to be accurate.
Yep. All right. Anybody got any questions? I hope some folks got something out of this. Like I said, I just had 2 or 3 people, Trevor being one of them, having questions about laser setup and stuff, and I thought, well, I haven't done a show in a while. I know I could do it for the Mach 3. I've really done one before for Mach 3, and then I thought, well, let me go ahead and figure out the UC CNC, and I'll show those too. And I really still, if there's anybody out there that is running, Jtech or other similar type diode laser with either an Arduino or love to see somebody with this running one with Linux CNC. I'd love to have you on the show. I can't talk about that stuff because I don't know anything about it. I don't do it. So I just.
I know Ryan Ballard runs a Raspberry Pi. I don't know if he has a laser though.
Yeah, he was out there in the chat. I don't think he's doing. Yeah, he's right there. Ryan, you haven't got a laser yet, have you? But all right. Yeah, we got rain moving in. I know you probably all can't hear it. I was really worried about it coming down bucket loads because I got a metal roof up here. Of course, I do have insulation, but quiet it down some. But it gets pretty loud out here if it's comes down buckets. I still have the door wide open too because it's hot still. Oh, it's cooled down to about 78 out here now. So. All right. Well, if nobody's got any questions, we'll sign off and put this one in the books. If there was any questions about these kind of lasers that we didn't get answered tonight, come back and leave a comment after this becomes a video and, a few minutes after it goes off. Mark Lindsay says, are you going to do weekly live streams again nowadays? Probably not, Mark. I mean, I took kind of a little hiatus because, we've covered all this stuff so many times. So I kind of wait until I go, okay, I'm starting to see a bunch of emails about this topic. So let me do a show and we'll go over that. So really hadn't gotten very many questions, except, I don't know, probably the last 2 or 3 weeks. I've been, because I've been posting stuff on Facebook and Instagram, showing stuff I'm lasering and getting heavy into doing the fretboards and I guess I could have showed y'all some of that stuff. I didn't even bother showing some of that, but I've been using my laser to not only lay out the fret spacing, the fret locations on a fretboard, but what I've also, a light bulb come on. I'm like, well, wait a minute. While I got it in that fixture, I don't have to cut a hole and put a, fret marker dot of a contrasting wood or not, I can engrave whatever I want on there. So let me grab a couple of fretboards and I'll show them.
Still having issues, Travis, with your Trevor, with your can't get it right.
Yeah.
Let me lock it on me real quick here. It might not interest anybody, or maybe will. I don't know. But this is what I found this laser to be really cool for, because like I said, while I have it in the fixture, and you can probably see these lines that go across here, and although they look like they're just lines, if you take your fingernail, it's actually engraved it down just enough to where you can easily get that fret saw in there and get dead nuts accuracy when you're laying out these frets on these things. This is just again, it looks like an inlaid dot, but it's just turned on there. Some of the other things I've been doing is, I may have to get close to show some of these so you won't be able to see them. I've been doing these flying birds as fret markers. Here's one. I like this one a lot. I've been doing it, the infinity sign. Doing that. Get some really good detail with that. And I know this camera's probably not doing these justice. And this is Roman numerals. I've done some of those. This camera's probably not doing these justice because this is on cherry and they look just jam up when you see them in person. And then this is again the flying birds. This one's on piece of pump. And like I said, that's just a few I've got all, but what I like now is like whatever I think of, go, hey, that'd make a cool fret marker. I can do it. You know, I just don't have to. And what I like is it's all in the program where it runs the fret locations and puts whatever fret marker I want on it. All in the same run.
Now what you got to do is you got to get somebody else to laser infinity markers on another fret, and then you and he have an infinity war, and then label your next YouTube that title, and you should get tons of views.
I had a fellow cigar box guitar maker, Marty Talbert. He lives up in Maine, and he saw, you know, by the way, folks, I want to thank everybody that's been sending me license plates. Good God Almighty, I got license plates out the years now, but I'm down to about, I think out of the 50 states, I only have about 17 or 18 that I don't have. But anyway, I posted a picture of a license plate that I'd gotten in the mail from somebody, and Marty Talbot saw it. He goes, hey, you know, if you don't have a main plate, I've got some main plates. I'll send them to you. So he sent me the main plates. He sent me, I think, 3 of them. And then he also makes his own pickups. He calls them a wicked bucker. And I don't have it in here. It's in the house. And but anyway, so when I got it, I thought, well, I'm going to make a little trim ring. And this is actually one of the bad ones. This one, because what I did is I put a little tab here at the top and the bottom. So when you set the wicked bucker in there and you use the 4 screws that he puts in that, the tabs, you know, since it's setting over the tabs, it holds that trim ring in place. But what I did is I laser engraved wicked bucker, since that's what he calls his pickups, on a couple of trim rings, and I sent him those. And then I also sent him, when I got the license plates, you know, he's from Maine, so what's on a license plate has a picture of a lobster. So I actually made a fretboard and made fret markers that are lobsters. And he seemed to like it. So I don't have any of those to show you out here, but yeah, I've just been having a ball with my little laser. And now that I found this thing that'll do the, you know, raster files, it's going to open up a whole new can of worms for me, probably. But anyway, I guess that's all I'm going to do for tonight. I don't see any other questions. Let me look one more time since I can't. I'm going to buy you some license plates in the Caribbean, but they wanted $10. No, I wouldn't pay for that. Do you need Arkansas or Oklahoma? I'm trying to remember. I want to say I have Oklahoma, but not Arkansas. I could be wrong. Somewhere on my timeline on Facebook, if you go to my timeline and scroll down, I put every time somebody sends me pictures, I post their picture and give them a shout out. And here lately, I've had people ask me, and so I went and I made a list that I put in the comments of the states I still need. And then every time somebody sends me one, I go and take that one off the list. I think I only need, like I said, 16, 17, maybe 18 plates now. I got a Hawaii the other day from Barbara. She had a couple in her garage.
You should post the list on Facebook of what you're.
Or if you want, if you go to my website, the DaveGatton.com website, and when you go to the homepage, up at the top, go all the way over to the right, and it'll be a page that says Dave's Guitar Stuff. When you click on that, it'll open up a page that's all about the guitar stuff. And every time somebody sends me a license plate, I post a picture to thank them for that. And also, I have their name, who sent what, how many, and all that. So if you go to that page, you'll see a big, what do they call it?
Gallery?
Yeah, gallery. So you'll be able to tell whether I have a plate, or not. Like if you go and say, well, does he have a Kentucky? And you go, oh, yeah, there's a Kentucky. But I don't think I have Arkansas. I may not even have Oklahoma. I'm trying to think. Oh, wait. No, wait. Yeah, I do have Oklahoma because David Battershell sent me one of those, I think. That's where he lives. So I think I do have Oklahoma. But, all right. I guess we're done here.
Yep.
If Dave has enough plates, I can take donation. I guess Jerry Brown's wanting license plates. Yeah, we're gonna sign off. Get out of here. Start to come down pretty good. No, Mark Lindsay, I don't need more cigar boxes. Thank you very much, though. Mark sent me some just big ass. I think it was like 13 or 14 boxes he sent me. But no, I haven't even started using those yet. I've been doing those custom bodies, the license plate bodies, and I've also been doing some of those boxes that CB Getting sells that you glue together. They're like the finger joint boxes. I bought those probably over a year ago, and then I realized when I stumbled across them, I thought, oh man, they're a plain box, but I got a laser, so I can put whatever I want on them. So let me show you one of those right quick. These are just little boxes. They cut with a laser. You can see the brown is because it's got the burn edge from a laser. And it's just kind of a cigar box, but see, since it's plain, I can use the laser. I put that on the front, and then I put this on the back. So, and when I did this, I wished I'd had or knew about that laser engrave with UC-CNC, because I did this going through VCAR Pro and Mach 3 and all that. So there's a lot of stopping and starting on this. And that's after I spent a lot of time cleaning it up and getting rid of all the little teeny tiny stuff. Just real quick, here's a couple more I did. There's a weird looking skull thing with a spider climbing anode or something. And then this one is, of course, Don't Tread on Me. So, that's why I say when you get boxes like this and you got a laser, it's like whatever you. I mean, the possibilities are endless. What you want to do, put on. All right, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to get soaked, going to the house. I hope everybody, we still got 45 folks watching. Appreciate you, man. I'm surprised we had anybody show up. They probably thought I died or something because I hadn't done it. Hey, Rob, look at Rob Schuster go, man. He just posted in the chat the plates I still need. Arkansas, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Iowa, Louisiana, Maryland, Missouri, New Hampshire.
You still need Florida?
I can probably get one because I'm sure Barbara's probably got one of those too. But if you got one around,
I'll send you a Florida. I didn't know you needed one. If not, I would have sent you one a long time. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, my phone's about to die too on top of everything else. So, all right, thank you all so much for coming back tonight. I hope you all got something out of this. Like I said, if there was a question about lasers that we didn't, especially the Jtech lasers that we didn't answer, setting wise or something like that, put it down in the comments and we'll get back to it. I'll probably, when I do the next show, I may try to have more information about that laser engrave because as I play with it more, I'll learn a lot more about it. And also the laser plug-in that I downloaded that you can put in Mach 3. I didn't have time to really fool with it. I saw it this afternoon. I thought, well, let me download it. And I thought, well, I don't really have time to install it because I was already playing with the other one. So, but anyhow, thank you all so much. Thank you, Hobby, for sticking around. Old Chipsters, thank you so much for stopping in. And I was really hoping to see that new shop behind you, but yes, that'll come in the future, I guess.
Hopefully we can have a get together there next month or so.
Yeah, I hope so. And Trevor, I don't know what to tell you, buddy. I hope you get the thing going. I mean, the settings are all, from what you tell me, your settings are all the same as mine. For some reason, the dumb thing don't work. So
it's something simple.
Yeah, and when it comes on, you just go, oh man, you probably do want to head slap things like I do.
Yep.
Like I said, when I was started to run that laser engrave thing, it started going back and forth, and I'm like, what the heck? And then it suddenly dawned. I thought, well, heck, let me just let it run a minute. And then after it got to the part where it's supposed to burn, it started shooting out of the laser, and I'm like, oh, that's what it was. That part's all white. That's why it's not doing nothing. So it doesn't just skip to the parts it has to burn. It does the whole thing. So if you're getting when you're doing one of these, something like this, and it gets up past the guy's head, well, the laser's not going to come on anymore. So even though the program had stopped, you can stop it then. And, because all you're going to do is just watch it go back and forth. The laser's not going to come on. So anyhow, I'm out of here. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for joining me. And we'll see you all. I don't know when. Maybe next week. Who knows? But like I said, best way to find out is to either subscribe to me on YouTube and click that notification bell. You get notified that way, or follow me on Facebook or Instagram because that's where I post everything. If you're on Facebook and don't know when I'm having the show, then something ain't right because it's all over Facebook. Thank you. Good night, everybody. Everybody have a good weekend and stay safe if you're in this storm.
Good night, all.